Okay, first and foremost, no shiur on Wednesday because Rabbi Zucker is giving his shiur. Yeah, this next Wednesday, but the one after that should be fine as far as I know.
So the last shiur.
I don't think. I think we got a couple more. We should probably look at this now. So we have this. Okay, then we have Shavuos, and then we have 1, 2, and the 16th. Yeah, I mean.
14th.
14th, yeah. 14th is probably over, but so we have this and then 2 more.
Even Monday, like the Monday night Mishnah.
Yeah, man, end of the year. Okay, so that was one thing. The other thing is I just wanted to say what I wrote on the thingy, which is we're doing perek Tesvav, even though we just did Yud Gimel, and it's not because I want to skip Yud Daled, but it's because I thought that there was a chance that we could finish this tonight. There's no way of finishing this tonight. Oh, really? Yeah, but we it's a short perek, and I thought there's more hope for that. And also, I didn't get a chance to prepare with Ken. And also, this is if we have time, we'll have to make a decision about like whether we go for the landing, or whether we want to set it aside and let it percolate for 2 weeks. And if we do that, then we can look at the Gemara about this because the Gemara here is related to Taryag Mitzvos, which is like a Shavuosi type thing. All right, but we'll see. Okay, so Tesvav, Mizmor LeDavid. Every single time I forget to look up the thingy. Mizmor LeDavid. I'm pretty sure it's that if it's Mizmor LeDavid, it means that he got Ruach HaKodesh and then said it. Because I think Mizmor is like the Shavach that you do when you get Ruach HaKodesh. And so LeDavid Mizmor means he said it in order to get Ruach HaKodesh. And this one is he got, I'm pretty sure. But we got to verify it though. I mean, it's one or two possibilities. Okay, Mizmor LeDavid. So let's translate. A song of David. Okay. Hashem. Mi, yes, very good, Ariel. Mi yagur ba'olacha.
Who will sojourn?
Ooh, sojourn. It's fancy word. Yeah. It's a Rus word. It's a Rus word.
No. You see that with first of all, Yaakov.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. Yeah. Who will sojourn? Yeah. Ba'olacha.
In your tent.
Yeah, in your tent, singular. Yeah. Mi yishkon b'har kodecha.
And who will yishkon? I don't know.
Dwell. B'har kodecha.
In your mountain.
Yeah, although we don't say in the mountain, unless you're talking about a goblin king. Yeah. On your holy mountain. Yeah. We'll say we'll say holy just because of mountain. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Holich tamim. Oh, this is hard to translate. Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. Okay. One who goes or walks.
Tamim. Oh, tamim.
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 Not straight. That's yashar.
Completeness or purity.
Yeah. Okay. So this is really hard to translate. So I still think that there's no good English word for like one English word that captures all the connotations. So in the context, let's just get examples of this. So we have Noach ish tzadik tamim haya b'dorasav. You have Avraham of Hisalach lefanai v'hiye tamim. You have tamim tiye im Hashem lekecha. You have a behema tamima. For korbanos. You have Eov is also called. He's Tam Yashar Yorel Kim Sor Meira. Okay, so tamim. I think the clearest way to see it is from the behema for the korbanos. So in korbanos terminology, how do you translate tamim?
Like unblemished.
Unblemished. Yeah. Okay. Right. So so it's actually a machlokus whether this is a noun or an adjective. Okay. In this context. So let's say in an unblemished manner. Okay. Other translations of tamim.
Pure.
Okay. Perfect. I think is better than pure. Yeah. Because perfect.
What's the opposite of blemish? That's positive, like versus unblemished.
That's why it's hard to come up with the English. The opposite. Oh, well, blemish. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Perfect. What else? Complete. Simple. Whole. Okay. So I don't want to commit ourselves to any translation when we're doing the facts. Okay. So holich tamim, one who goes or walks in an unblemished manner. Poel tzedek. Acts. Righteously. Okay, I'm just trying to avoid doing a base. Yeah, righteously. All right. Or you can also say enacts righteousness, right?
Yeah.
Right, because he is poel. He does or enacts righteousness. I think that's actually better because tzedek is a noun. Yeah, that's probably better. I mean, we're not committed to these translations, but I'm just trying to get a working translation. Dover emes bilvavo.
And speaks truth.
Yep.
Or-
In his heart. Speak truth in his heart. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to put semicolons here. Lo ragal al lashono. So this you have to get from the lashon hara halachos ruchilus. Yeah. So ruchilus. Did we do? Yeah, we did this for our perek about lashon hara, right? That Rashi's theory is that Rachel and Ragel are the same word. What was that?
Peddler.
Yeah, so it's a peddler, but it's also the same word that we use for meraglim. And then the Rambam also used this in the Yad when he's saying the Isser of lashon hara is kol hameragel b'chavera over below saseh. So here it's being used. It doesn't mean it doesn't put his foot in his mouth. Okay, it's lo ragal al lashono.
Doesn't speak Ruchilus.
Yeah, so literally, I would say the most literal / taking into account the idiom is there is no defamatory speech on his tongue. Okay, what was it?
Perverse.
Not perverse. No, I don't think so. Because this is when you're talking badly about other people. Perverse is really more of the quality in the person. Lo asa l're'ehu ra'a.
Yeah, doesn't do wicked.
To his neighbor, to his fellow.
Yeah, you'll see evil to his fellow. Okay.
Wait, Ra is fellow?
No, re'ehu. Like we have to l're'echa
Oh
kamocha.
shoot! I was
Yeah, I thought you were translating the ra. Yeah. Okay. V'cherpa lo nasa al krov. This one's hard to translate. Cherpa. Cherpa, Yilano. What?
A burden.
No. Well, nasa is to carry.
Yeah.
Cherpa.
Oh.
Macharif u'magadif. Shame. Yeah. Right. So and shame or disgrace. Let's say disgrace. Okay. Lo nasa al krovos. What's a karov?
His
Family.
neighbor.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's interesting. You guys both say that because the usual translation of karov is a relative.
This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I saw
Okay, yeah, right.
family member.
Oh yeah, that's the usual one. Yeah. Okay. So it is divided in the meforshim here. So and disgrace he does not nasa.
Place.
See, that's also very interesting. Okay. So the literal translation of nasa is to bear, but some say here it means lahasi is to place. Okay. So he does not bear or place upon his close one. Okay, we'll say close one here. Yeah. All right. Oh, by the way, you'll notice I'm changing the past tenses to present tense. I'm just doing that for continuity's sake because it's here. It starts with holech as present tense, poel present tense, dover present tense, lo ragal al lashono, I guess, lo asa, lo nasa. Okay, so I mean, again, we can play fast and loose with the tenses here. Okay, okay, this is hard to translate. Nivze be'inav nimas.
I don't know what nibza is, but I feel like it's going on. with him.
Those
Visually,
who are-
yeah, those.
Those who are disgracing his eyes will melt.
Okay. You're getting that from Yashir, right? Yeah. So moes.
He thinks of disgusting.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So those. Oops. Those. I guess one who is. What did you say? You had a good word. Disgraced. Yeah. Disgraceful in his eyes are is disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay. The es yirei Hashem yichabed.
Oh, and those who fear Hashem, he honors.
Good. He honors. You notice here it goes into future tense also. There's another reason why I want to just keep it all present tense. Nishba laharav lo yamir.
Mishpah.
So nishba is passive, even though I think that's just how the lashon that we use for it.
He swears off evil
He's okay. So this is a hard one. He swears lehara
to
to do evil. Okay, which sounds bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to actually go ahead and jump in here with the most common translation that I've seen. He swears even to his detriment. Okay. Not evil, but to harm, like to suffer. V'lo yamir. Yeah. Tamura.
Yeah, he's switching.
And doesn't, go back. Okay. On his word, right? On his oath. Last pasuk. Kaspo lo nasan beneshech.
Well, neshech is it's like rivers. It's similar to rivers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Don't ask me what the difference is because I don't know the difference.
He
Yeah.
doesn't give his tetzet in we just read it.
Yeah, right. We did. I think. Wait, did we just?
I just
What? Oh, you just read it.
We
Okay.
did it. We did some
You know,
Shabbos.
I read it.
Yeah, we did some Shabbos.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But we completely forgot it.
With like usury or something.
Yeah, usury is the fancy word for it. I feel like interest is the one we
Oshek.
usually use, right?
It's
Interest.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought Oshek is usury.
I don't. Is it? I don't know. I always forget what usury is. Yeah, I get mixed up with these white collar crime terms. Yeah, that's not. It's not a career for me. V'shochad al naki lo lakach.
I know it's and a bribe in his lap. He doesn't.
Al naki.
Is it not like clean?
Yeah, clean, but in a justice context, it's innocent. Yeah,
Innocent.
and he lo lakach.
Doesn't take.
Yeah, he doesn't take a bribe for an innocent person. Okay. Ose'ele lo yimot lolam. One who does these. Yeah.
Well, he will.
I feel like we had this word initially in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Won't be like removed.
Yeah, you could say removed. I think actually I'm gonna check the BDB. I would say falter.
He will not falter.
Yeah. Or be unstable. Totter, shake, slip up. Yeah. Oh no, I think I do remember. I think I have a memory of clicking on this and then turning to Oren and saying teeter. And he will not falter forever. Okay. So not the most difficult, like what do you call? I mean, some of the words are difficult here, but it's not like a mystifying thing. Okay, but what are observations and questions here?
It was a fun one to translate.
It was fun to translate, yeah, Isaiah?
It's interesting that he's not really praising Hashem in this one.
Yeah, it is funny, right? That's actually a good question. I'm gonna let's actually make that into a question here. Okay, is how is this a mizmor? Okay, he doesn't seem to be praising Hashem. Yeah, Tamar?
Very related observation is that it's like one idea, and the idea is like one person, a certain character, that I think is interesting.
Okay, so this is a portrait of a character. Yara?
Yeah, it's funny. He's listing out like the positives and the negatives, just an observation.
Listing by listing positives and by negatives you mean like things that he doesn't do, right?
Things,
right. Good things.
Yeah.
He does and bad things he doesn't do.
But it's also interesting. Actually, Isaiah.
Okay, Isaiah.
Okay, what's the relationship between the character he's portraying with all of these traits? And I think like the first pasuk, like
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so here is going to be very easy to figure out, I guess, like the theme, because really the first pasuk seems to be stating it. So let's break that down into a couple of questions here. So so you said what is the relationship between these 11 qualities? Okay, yeah, you can take my word for it, there's 11. Okay, and I mean, unless you break it up differently, but there's like 11 statements, and the opening question, really, right? Okay, but now let's break down the opening question into its subparts. By the way, just to state methodology here, I always say that when you're doing Tehilim, then it's you should not get caught up in the particulars. You should keep your eye on the big picture. But I think because the structure of this is so clear, I think what we can do is we can like analyze the first pasuk in depth and then like kind of keep a loose bird's eye view of the rest of it. I think that's probably the best approach. So how do we break down the first half into more questions? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so it's interesting that the first pasuk says like, all right, who are the people who are going to dwell in their holy mountain?
Yeah.
And then
Goblin King.
What?
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, go ahead.
Then it ends off with people that falter.
Okay, yeah.
But like,
So that's another question.
not,
Okay, so this is I was really bothered by this. Okay, which is like what does the last pasuk have to do with the first, right? In other words, I think there are three, I guess. This is not. I don't think there's going to an answer. I just think structurally there are three. Three ways you can. Three possibilities for what the relationship is between the first and the last pasuk, right? We have this quality of. Let me just highlight them here. Of who will dwell in your sojourn in your tent and who will dwell on your holy mountain, and then you've got the last pasuk. Yeah. So what would you say the three? What would you just state what the possible relationships between these two pesukim are? If you hear what I'm
They
asking.
mean the same thing.
Okay, so one possibility is, are they two facets of the same thing? Okay, Tamar?
I was gonna say maybe they have like a causal relationship.
Okay, or are they there's a fancy way to say this, but I can't think of it right now. Yeah, I'll just say, do they have a causal relationship? Do they have, well, actually, no, what do you mean by causal relationship?
I guess I mean like, for example, it could be that if you dwell on Hashem's holy
Okay.
mountain, then you won't fall.
Okay, right. So I'm thinking of this as a subdivision then. Okay, or do they have causal relationship? And if the latter, which is the cause of which, right? In other words, one way to say it, which is the cause. Yeah. One way to say it is like if you make it up to the top of the holy mountain in the tent, so then you, as a result of that, you won't falter. Or no, only someone who doesn't falter can really be like fit to dwell at the top. Yeah, let's go with David, and then let's go David, then Dina, then Ayala. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about Ariel.
No, so don't worry.
Okay.
Are we able to ask what is God's tent in his holy
Yes.
mountain?
Okay, that was the question I was waiting for dissecting the first pasuk here, which is what are what was the first one? First one is Ohalecha, just Ohalecha. Yeah. What are It's not twitching.
I saw you. I was so sad. I saw you running everything just in italicizing.
I know. Ohalecha. Oh, yeah. And Har Kachacha. It's not working.
Buttons harder.
Okay. Har Kachacha. All right. What are Ohalecha and Har Kachacha? And if you think you know what this is, I'm not going to ask what it is yet. You would be shocked. Every single, again, I didn't have time to prepare this with Ken, but like when I was just looking over this right before I came over here, every single of the meforshim says something different. It's crazy. Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. Dina.
So hi. So I have
No.
like an observation. I know
Yeah.
it's been a while since I've been here.
No shame.
But it sounds like to me that he's like describing a witness, because like a witness can't take bribes. A witness has to be a good character.
Okay, so just to be clear about the facts here, so I believe, unless there's something I don't know about, the judge can't take bribes, but a witness.
I meant the judge. Not a
Okay, that's
witness.
right. Yeah,
I don't know
right.
why.
Okay, yeah.
I
So
meant the
okay,
judge.
that's a good quality then. Okay, or that's a good observation. So these seem to be judgely qualities. That's not a word. Right. Yeah. In fact, all of these certainly fit with judgy qualities, right? That's a good observation. I did not notice that. Yeah, Ayala?
So for the third question, I think is another possibility that they're both results, like two separate results of something. Wait, sorry, the fourth question.
Fourth question. Yeah. Yeah. So that was what I thought Tamar was saying initially. Yeah. So which is which, or are they both the results, the effects of a higher cause? Okay. Yeah, Isaiah.
What does it mean to sojourn in a tent? You don't
Yes.
normally sojourn in tents.
I think you do.
I thought sojourning is like traveling outside.
Well, sojourn is temporarily dwelling, right? Like when you go someplace in a temporary state. You can still ask what does it mean to sojourn, was it?
Yeah.
Is that not the word we're using for it?
So
Or is that a different word?
adjourn. Yeah. Basically, yeah. Oh, you know what? In fact, I would bet, this is just total guess, that sojourn comes from the word day, like a journal, soup de jour,
Oh.
sojourn. Let's check for funsies. Get the shorish. Find sojourn. A temporary stay, and it comes from, oh, now my clickings aren't working. Okay. Sub and diurnum. Oh, it doesn't come from that. Diurnum, unless it is related, unless that's related.
Oh.
Diurnum. Okay, that's interesting. All right, there you go.
Does it help that actually in Latin, dormi means to sleep or to stay or to live?
Oh, yeah, that could be. All right, well, we're just doing our little armchair etymology here. No, don't mind us. Yeah. Okay, Ariel.
Okay. I mean, the last clause, like la'olam, the last word.
Yeah.
What is, that's not true.
Okay,
That's true.
so let us ask a question on the last positive. So what does it mean by lo yimot leolam and
Wow.
yeah, really messed up today. And I even did my avodah zarah before I came here.
I
It
know,
didn't help.
I witnessed your
I had to
avodah
brush
zarah.
away the incense. Okay. All right. So what
I
does it
could
mean?
make you a red band. You want a red band?
Nah, that doesn't work. All right. What does it mean by especially and especially lolam? Lolam. Okay. Could we only ask questions, not what you were? Okay. All right. Yeah, Akiva. Yes.
Just following the judgely qualities, what you're saying. Is this describing exotic? Because it just sounds like it's saying mitos.
Okay. Yeah.
And no Torah.
Yeah. All right. So let's ask that question as translating the observation into a question here. Okay, is that like, okay, how exactly would we characterize this type of person? Like, is there a term for this, or is the most we can do or for this, or can we only say he dwells in the tent of Hashem and whatever, or sojourns, whatever, sojourns. Yeah. Aria?
What's exactly the point of this? Like, I mean, it doesn't.
Don't you want to
actually-
dwell in the?
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, what does that mean? Like dwelling, like, you know, but it's for. I mean, it's for us now, like, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So, that is a question which I'm not going to list because that is one of our methodology questions. Let's just review our methodology questions for methodology's sake. So we're gonna focus on, for tonight at least, on the first and fourth questions. What is the perek saying as a whole? What's the main idea? And then what of it? So what? Okay. And then as we go, we will try to answer questions 2 and 3, which are, what is the perek saying in detail? And is this perek true in whole or in part? But I will say, we already have a so what set up here, because we noticed in perek, what was the Lashon Hara perek? Was that Yud Beis? Yeah, 12, right? So that was Lashon Hara perek, and talking about all the people who are characterized by falsehood and distortion. And I mentioned then that this one seems to be talking about the opposite of those qualities. So it's possible that this is like, you know, if you want to look at thinking Mishlaic opposites, that 12 is the opposite of this one. But still, the question is, what else do we get out of this, and how does what we get out of it align with 1 and 5? You know.
Are we
Okay.
also gonna try to take your new level up thing?
If it happens, so be it. We're not gonna.
What is that question though? What is that?
What is that question?
Yeah. I mean,
Well, that was really, I don't think we can apply that strictly in here, because so Ariel's referring to the new theory that Ken and I developed last time, the evolution of the supplicant. I think that's what we called it.
Yeah.
And that was when you're davening, that Tehilim is going to bring you through changes. But I don't think that applies here, because you're not really saying it. Yeah. But there's a similar question you can ask here about the middle pesukim.
a similar question.
Mhm.
What happens to someone who doesn't?
That's a good question, but I guess he'll falter. And he can't dwell on the holy mountain.
What's that entail?
Yeah. All right, so let's put that into yeah, we might as well ask that. Who is the opposite, and like, why can't he dwell, etc., and why will he falter? Yeah, Tamar?
I was going to ask, based on what you said, I guess, like, is there a hierarchy of these qualities, or are they
Okay.
all equal footing?
All right, so let's just ask very broadly, okay? What is the, oops, I almost deleted all the questions. Hold on a second. All right, yeah, let's just say this. What is the relationship between these 11 qualities, okay? So is there a hierarchy? For example, I think, did we? I don't think so. Oh, no, that's between the 11 qualities and the opening question. Yeah. I also thought that we asked that question because, yeah. So, for example, walking in an unblemished manner, holech tamim and Pol Tzedek seem to be very general. And like, let's say like at the end, it sounds like this is very particular, So like maybe those two are headings and everything falls under that. Okay. Or another thing you can ask is there hierarchy? Is there an order to these? Okay. Right. Do they build on each other? Is it in order of importance? Also, you'll notice in the Hebrew that they are in groups of threes, right? Or at least, well, you can't do groups of threes for 11, but Holik Tamim Upoel Tzedek Vido Emes Bilvavo. Pause. Lo Raga Ashalan without a vav. Lo Asa L'Reo, that doesn't work out. Lo Nasa Al. So I guess the question also is like, are there groupings within the pesukim? Is there? Let me just list this here. Are there groupings within the pesukim?
Can I add to that question?
Yeah.
Also, like, I know you weren't worrying about the tenses, but are the groups maybe related to the tenses? Like, are they grouped? I mean, I can
Okay, yeah.
by pesukim,
I will
but,
ask that.
yeah.
I will. We do have to be honest. That is important if you want to be Dover Amos Bilbavo. Do the tenses matter? Yeah, Ayala.
Okay, so I think this is observation. If it's an answer, you could stop me.
Okay.
But it seems like the first three are more like general things, like general overall character
Yeah.
things. And then pasuk 3, it seems, is like how he treats other people. And then 4 seems like like kind of how he views other people in a way or something.
Interesting.
Or like,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
I think that's
buys
possible.
something with money.
Yeah, that's a possible approach. Yeah, I'm not going to write it down just because I think that is a possible approach here. Yeah, David.
Observation that I'll try to turn to a question.
Okay.
This reminded me a lot of Yirmiyahu Tet Chafet Chatima.
Yeah.
And it did explicitly hit Tzedek, and it also, I think Chesed was the only one, and then it also had some Mishpat stuff, and that he doesn't take bribes, all that.
Yeah.
So seemingly there, not so much with the Chesed. But so it got me then to think question-wise of when we talk about someone who lives in God's tent and Yishkom Harkashech, and also at the end.
Yeah.
Is there something specific that those things mean versus just this is like a good person that good things happen to? Where this person is like living in the way that he's supposed to be living? Is there something particular to those things when we ask what are God's tent, his holy mountain?
Okay, so let me just ask you a question here. Wait, did we ask what does it mean to dwell? Number two, yeah. I think I want to move this up here. Yeah, so what is the difference between, I guess, what does it mean to dwell and sojourn there? To sojourn and dwell there. So is there a difference?
I'm asking particularly like what, I'm assuming that these have been like specific positive attributes that are trying to be addressed through these particular things. And what are those positive attributes versus just other general good things that happen to it?
Okay, so disagree with me if you disagree with me. I feel like that question is going to be covered among like over the course of 2 and 3. Like we're looking for what exactly is this quality that this person has. Unless I'm not hearing what your question is, that's how I'm understanding your question is like, what is the larger quality that all these things describe and that qualifies you to dwell in this thing?
Okay, I hear that.
Like what's the greater perfection? Yeah, Tamar?
I guess like, is there a significance to the absence of things that we would consider like kind of like strictly intellectual? Like you don't see observing nature, you don't see specifically even praising God. Like there's you don't see these kinds
That's
of
a good
things
question. That's a good question. Yeah, some of the meforshim try to sneak them in there, you know.
What did she just ask?
She said, let me put it here. So where's the question about the 11? What are the 11 qualities? Here. Okay, so let's say what? Yeah, I gotta change the lesson of 4. Is there a reason why the more like intellectual read less morality focused qualities aren't emphasized here, right? So it does seem to be that, yeah. Unless you're going to say, I mean, look, there are ways to say this, I'm not going to spoil it right now, but there are ways to like read the intellectual qualities in there. Yeah, Akiva?
Just a very specific question for, well,
You want the pesukim? Yeah.
yeah, for 5. What's the meaning doesn't take a bribe from an innocent person?
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. That's a problematic one, right?
But that sounds fine.
You can't take a bribe from anybody, right? Yeah, or for anybody. So let's put that down here, which is what does it mean that shochad al naki lo lakach? Yeah, isn't all bribe taking prohibited? Prohibited. Yeah, Ariel.
Okay. This might be slightly related to tomorrow's question, but like one out of all the things in the Torah and all the things that we could have put in here, why specifically these things?
Yeah. Okay. That's
What's
another. Yeah.
unique about
That's
these?
another good question about the on the 11 one. Why specifically these 11? Yeah. Okay. I so want to show you the Gemara right now, but I'm going to hold back. Okay. Anyone want to ask the methodological elephant in the room? I thought people were going to jump all over me for this.
What?
Yeah, Isaiah.
What's the pivot?
What's the pivot point? Oh no, our theory is gone. Yeah, you do?
Yeah, I also have one.
Really?
It's kind of obvious.
I thought there's okay. So for background here, right, is that we've been working with this theory that we've noticed that all pesukim of Tehilim that we've seen have a pivot point where there's an abrupt change, and I thought that this didn't have a pivot point. Okay, you think there is one? Okay, go ahead, Isaiah.
I think this is a flippy floppy.
Yeah,
So
flippy
I
floppy.
think
Yeah,
It's 1,
yeah,
and then it's 2 through 5.5,
yeah.
and then it's back to then like
Yeah.
one color, then it flips. to
Okay,
that, and then-
Yeah,
so
yeah, so
let me.
question.
Is that what you said also?
Yeah, it was- yeah,
Okay, so let me tell you, I thought of this and I was like, no, that's just forcing the theory.
That's just
What are you talking about?
I think that's just forcing the theory.
I really
And
don't-
No, I don't think so either.
okay, I'll tell you, like, I just don't think you gain anything by calling that a pivot point. Okay, I'll tell you what this is analogous to. Okay, so for those who have learned Mishlei, in Mishlei, most pesukim in the bulk in the body of Mishlei have 2 halves. And it usually contrasts, the tzaddik with the rasha or the chacham with the fool. And there occasionally get a pasuk where it is only talking about the bad and only talking about the good. So there I say, okay, so you have to extrapolate and say, well, what would the good have to say or what would the bad have to say? That's a good application. Okay, but sometimes you get pesukim that, let's say, like they list 7 things. Like there are 6 things that Hashem hates, and a 7th that is his abomination of his very being. Okay, I know that's not in the first part of Mishlei, or that's not in the bulk of Mishlei. If you were to try to like force the opposites onto that structure of 7, I would say no. This is a separate structure. Like this is a list of like entry requirements. For Ohalach and Harkachacha. I don't think you gain anything. If you can show me that you gain something by conceiving of this as a pivot point, then I'll get it. The whole move of a pivot point is it's a device that he uses for getting you to synthesize 2 themes. I just don't think that's what this is doing. This is asking a question and then answering it. So I'm emphatic that this is not a pivot point thing. But
Fine.
yeah. Okay, but yeah, Isaiah.
I'm not this.
So forgetting whether it's specifically like a pivot point or not, this seems to be like the structure of the perek.
Mhm.
So I think
Right.
pointing out that this is the structure of the perek still seems helpful.
Yes, and I think I'm just saying that there are more structures than pivoty things, and I think that we should be open to receiving the structures that are there and not just like read pivots and everything. That's like the you don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, where like you see proof of your own theory in everything, yeah.
All right, fine. All right. So basically, the methodology of pivot is to teach you an idea.
Yeah.
But here you're saying it. doesn't.
Here I'm saying that he's teaching an idea through making a list.
All right,
Yeah.
fine. So maybe whatever.
Yeah.
Just give me another minute.
Okay. Yeah. Akiva. Yeah. Something. No.
just maybe another thing for the last part.
Yeah.
Could it just be like I don't want to say, but like incentive?
Yeah, it could be an incentive, right? Meaning
Like, if you
this.
don't like that enough. whatever.
Yeah, it may be true that you can dwell in Hashem's tent and dwell on His holy mountain, but yeah, you also don't want to falter. No one likes faltering. Faltering is bad. Yeah, that's definitely possible. Okay, coming back to you.
I mean, unless you say that you just have to switch from the positives and the negatives, but I don't know. Maybe there's no.
So you're so disturbed that my theory is not playing
I'm
out.
a little disturbed.
Yeah.
Because unless you say it's just hold on.
I'm gonna come down tomorrow from Michelin, and Ariel's gonna have bloodshot eyes because he was just up all night just looking for that pivot. Yeah. Okay. So are we ready to start working on the perek?
Not really.
Okay. Well, we can always add more questions here.
Okay, fine.
Right. So I think we definitely need to. So what this is going to look like is going to have to be an interplay between theories about what the first and last pasuk are about, and then like testing the theories by looking at the contents, right? Like this is the theme of the perek is who can sojourn in your tent, who can dwell in your holy mountain. So we have to figure out what that is and take stances on that and try it out. Yeah.
To have a theory.
Okay, sure. Actually, let me just set this up here. I'm gonna just make a list here of possibilities for pasuk aleph. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Isaiah.
So I think like those two things have to do with like getting very close to Hashem.
Okay.
Like being on like a high level.
Yeah.
And maybe sojourning in your tent is like in terms of chachma.
Okay.
Like that reminds me of like Yosef or with the or like the avos who like learned in the tent and like didn't leave. Whichever avo it was.
Okay. Yeah. Yaakov. Right.
So like that, like someone who like is able to just get the highest levels of chachma,
Yeah.
and who dwells in your holy mountain is like someone who is like has just a very close connection to Hashem.
Okay. All right. Good. So that is. I'm not going to show you the meforshim yet. I want to get our approaches first, and then look at the meforshim. So I'll list this as you, but then we'll list it as the meforshim who echo it. Give me 1 second. So this is Isaiah, and this is descriptions of being close to Hashem. Okay. Yeah. Yeti.
So I think sojourning in a tent sounds kind of like temporal or like a not permanent existence, and dwelling on a mountain is more like permanent. So maybe it's like
that's good.
This world.
Okay, that's good. I like that. Yeah. In fact, what was I just? Oh man, hold on a second. I was just reading this. I was reading this in the Thursday night Pirkei Avos here, but I want Chizkiyahu to hear this because he was just talking about a sauna. That there was a this great midrash in Vayikra Rabbah, I think, where where Hillel was. They left shiur, and his talmidim saw him going to the sauna, to the bathhouse, and they said, where are you going? He said, to do a mitzvah. And they said, they said, what's the mitzvah? Or he said, they said, I'm getting, there were two incidents. One of them was where the gist of it was, I'm doing hachnasas orchim. I'm taking care of a guest, and they're like in a bathhouse. And he's like, yeah, like my body is just a temporary resident of Olam Hazeh, and like I got to take good care of it, So I thought that was a good line. But that is a thing. Or there are there's pesukim in Tehilim where David describes himself as a ger in this world, but he wasn't a ger. He was the melech. Like that's the least ger you can be, But so it's this world. Okay, this world versus the next. Okay, let's go. Tamar, Ayala, Dina, Ariel. Yeah.
I also had a sense of,
okay, yeah, Tamar.
okay. I was also thinking about temporality, but I had a little bit of a different take, which was more that this is some sort of like constantness, as opposed to, let's say, a person who has up and downs and good moments and bad moments. This is someone who's continually with Hashem.
Okay, all right. So emphasis. I
think that comes out from the don't falter also.
Constancy with Hashem, and this explains the not faltering. Okay, meaning like not deviating from that state. Okay, we're not falling off of the hill. Yeah, Ayala?
So these two things reminded me of in the midbar, Bnei Yisrael sojourning in the midbar, and then Har Sinai kind of. So I was thinking maybe it's like Hashem's hashgacha, when Hashem's hashgacha is like relating to the nation on a really close level, I guess.
Okay, that's also good. So so that is Ayala, and that is Hashgachas Hashem. Hashgachas Hashem. And are you taking a stance on the Ohel and Harkacho, or just those reminded you of that of Hashgacha? Like, are you subdividing between the two and giving an explanation? No. Okay.
No.
Okay, Dina.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna say it's Har Sinai. I'm gonna say it's Har Tzion or Har Moria instead, and that the tent is like Ohel. I don't know what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about.
The Mishkan.
Yeah, the Mishkan.
Okay,
like
yeah,
the
all right, good.
tent,
That all right. I
because
was
that
hoping,
was
yeah.
on the mountain.
Well, I don't even know. Oh, okay. So I'll tell you what I was thinking, but I don't know if this is what you're thinking now. Ohel and Har Kachecha. Ohel is the Mishkan and Har Kachecha is the base of Mikdash. But that's not what you're saying?
No, because I'm looking at the Tehilim and I see that Holy Mountain, H and M are both capitalized. So I just figured it would be like Har Moria, where the Beit HaMikdash rested.
Yeah, so that's definitely, I think saying that Har Kachecha is Har Moria, but I'm asking about, are you assuming, okay, are you assuming that Oholacha, if you assume Oholacha and Har Kachecha are the same thing, then yeah. Yeah, okay, so all right, I get it now. All right, so
but also then to me it sounds like all these things that he's talking about in the rest are just basically like galut, and like you have to be like good enough in order to be in order to sojourn in his tent, in order to be back in Yerushalayim and stuff like that.
Right. Okay, that's a good lead also. Okay, or the or just the Mikdash. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's another question we have, by the way. Let me just add this to here. Are these two different things or two descriptions of the same thing? Yeah, I think that is an important point. Yeah, Isaiah?
Just back in what Dina was saying.
Yeah.
Isn't the place where Sanhedrin is in Yerushalayim called like an Ohel? I forgot what that term is.
Well, the place where the Sanhedrin Hagadol is in Yerushalayim is in the Lishkas Hagazis in the Mikdash, in the chamber of human stones. Yeah. Yeah. It's possible you're thinking of something else that I'm not aware of. Okay, those are good possibilities. All right, should we see what the meforshim say? Just again, this is not the usual procedure here, but I want to you finish? No? Okay, so I want to see what the meforshim say, just so we can see the possibilities. I don't want to see how they interpret the 11 yet. I want to get like their leads and then go on. So I have not prepared this yet. I just glanced at it. So let's start off with let's start off with the Targum. That's what we usually do. So the Targum says, and I'm going to use the Targum on Ala Torah, and you tell me if there's anything drastically different here. Might be vowels different, but Tushbachta LaDavid, because that's the normal translation of Mizmor LaDavid, praise of David. Hashem man chame lemedar b'mishkanach, man chame lemishrei b'tur beis makdashach. Okay, I'm going to put this up here also because they highlight the things that are different. That's just a straight translation. Lo achal kurtzin b'lishane. Or lo achal kurtzin is what Rashi says. Do we talk about the little snack? Okay. This is Rashi's theory, and we talked about this in the women's share, that Rashi's Targum translates holech rachil as ochel kurtzin, which means to eat winks, and then Rashi has this theory that like there was a type of snack that they would eat in each other's homes to like signify when like the evil report was like accepted, but others say that no, it's just like an expression. So whatever. So it means he doesn't speak lashon hara or rechilus. Lo avad lechavre bishusa. He doesn't do evil to his friend. V'chisofa lo sovar al krive. He doesn't bear shame over his friend. Okay, that's equally ambiguous. Deshat ba'anpoi uvasir. Okay, so I think he is. So that's who despises the contemptible to his face. That's different. Yastachalaya dar Hashem mokir. He honors those who fear Hashem. Diome la'av asha legarme v'lo mishalchaf. I don't know what that means. Who will swear to do harm to himself and does not change. Okay, so that was like how I translated it. Sime lo yahav b'chibulia v'shochada al zakah lo kavel da'avid ilan lo yizul alman. Okay, yeah. So how do you translate? Oh, he did say. Okay, I just skipped the first pasuk. I mean, I didn't highlight it. I mean, he does say mishkanach, which is the Mishkan, and tur beis makdashach. Okay, so he does say it like along the lines that Dina and I were saying. Dina was saying that it's just the base mikdash. I was saying that it's the mishkan and the mikdash. Okay, so that's one. All right, now let's look at the Metzudas David. All right, Metzudas David. Again, we're just looking at pasuk aleph. Metzudas David says, "Where's Metzudas David?" Ke'ele shoal atashem mihu haroy lador ba'olachav zehu beis hamikdash ke'in kulam ru'uyim in kulam ru'uyim. Okay, so he says like Dina, this is only the beis hamikdash. Okay, and what do you think it means? Who is ro'i? Ladur, like to live in your tent, and that's the beis hamikdash. Okay, so one possibility is that it's talking about a kohen,
I don't
right?
know the answer though. Because it's limiting cholesterol. Meaning like, and if we're talking about like perfection,
Yeah.
I mean, it's talking. I think it's talking about more than just like the con. I mean, it's like you're fixed by.
Okay. Well, can I fight back?
No.
Sorry. Are you saying that learning about all of the 50 plus mitzvahs of the Kohanim is like just not worth it for us Yisraelim? Like,
No,
there's just
I'm
not
not
even
saying.
oh no, right.
I'm not
Okay.
saying that. I'm just saying like if it's just talking about the Kohanim being
Yeah.
in the Mishkan, then like what David Melech is saying in the Tehilim doesn't apply to the majority of the population.
No, but what I'm saying is that you could still learn from it though.
Okay,
Right?
That's true.
Yeah, right. Yeah. In fact, I'll show you more look at Sforno. He says, Bavo Mashiach Tikenu, mi mihakohanim yagor ba'olecha b'mikdash ha'asi libanos. So when Mashiach comes, which of the Kohanim will be fit to dwell in to reside in your mikdash that will be built in the future? Mishkon bahar kachacha Yerushalayim ha'asida, and who will be fit to dwell on your holy mountain in Yerushalayim in the future, right? So that seems to be so. But I guess I'm asking about this idea of ro'oi, right? Like, what do you say that the emphasis is there?
Yes, the quality. What are the qualities of the person who is a good servant of Hashem?
Right. So in other words, maybe my point making is too elementary to like for the question to register, but like, which Kohanim can be in the mikdash? Any one of them that are not like tamei and disqualified, right? But that doesn't mean that there are roi to be there. Like there are a lot of badly qualified Kohanim, right? Like in Bayit Sheni, there were like lots of really bad Kohanim. So there's halakhic qualifications, and then there's who is actually like fit for the job, and that's what this is talking about here. Okay, so let's just put this in a category here of where did our thingies go here? Okay, let's go with Metzudas and the Sforno. Okay, I know Metzudas doesn't say Kohanim, but okay, is who is fit to dwell in the mikdash, and then perhaps this is limited to Kohanim. Kohanim. Yeah, Dina?
So this might be broad, but I'm just guessing here, but maybe it's not just Kohanim, but like under the like umbrella in general, who belongs under this metaphorical umbrella of a mikdash, like who can bring sacrifices, who can't bring sacrifices.
Okay, so perhaps this is limited to Kohanim, or perhaps this perhaps this is this is talking about people who are fit to be involved in mikdashi activities in general. Okay. All right. So then let's do the Radak. Okay. Radak, if I remember correctly, is like Isaiah was saying. All right. Radak says, Mizmor David miyagur v'holacha v'harkachacha hu hashemayim. This is talking about space travel. No. So I was actually shocked when I said Shemayim, because I always emphasize how Shemayim in Tanakh, I'm pretty sure never ever in Tanakh means like anything other than the sky. Okay. I don't know for sure because I haven't looked at everything, but he says Hu Hashemayim, and then the footnote guy says Olam HaMalachim v'Haneshamos. Okay, the world of angels and souls. V'kina osam be'ohel har Hashem v'har hakodesh hu har hamoria, like Dina said, Shesham beis hamikdash. So it's being what do you call it? Not nicknamed, but metaphorically compared to the base of Mikdash, because that's the highest place on earth, right? So, or the most revered place on earth. So it uses this about Hashem. It says Hashem is in the sanctuary, his holy sanctuary. Hashem's throne is in the heavens. His voice will be heard. My voice will be heard from his sanctuary. So, in other words, there are in Tanakh, it does refer to the heavens where Hashem is as the Mikdash. That's talking about the soul. Okay, so that's like several people say, but I'm going to put this as its own entry. So he's saying that someone who does these actions during his life, his soul will dwell in a place of kavod after death. Okay, so let's just type that out here. So the Radak says, oh no, let's do the Hebrew. Radak says, patience. Okay, Radak says, this is talking about God's realm, and someone who does these things during his lifetime will merit to have his soul rest in that realm after death.
What does that mean, God's realm? Aren't we in?
No, like non-physical things. Yeah, now
how
it's
do you
like
do those things?
well, that's what we have to figure out what the 11 things are. But what's weird about this shot? Like, what word or term does it feel like he should be using here? Olam haba, right? So I'm a little like, well, if it's spoiler alert, Radak is a Maimonidean, so he does not hold that Olam haba is in this world, right? So if it's the Olam Hanashamos, then it's talking about Olam Haba. So I don't know what to make of that. Like, so that's why I'm not sure. It could be he's talking about what Isaiah is saying, which is that like if your soul in this life is like, associated with the upper realms, then as a fact, then you're not gonna then you're gonna go to Olam Haba. But it's really describing your state here. And by the way, this might be what the last pasuk means of his soul will not depart forever, and that answers the forever, which means that on earth, you're going to dwell with God, so to speak, that your soul is going to be like in, the upper realms. But then when you die, then your soul will not depart forever because it'll be fixed in that realm.
I recently heard that even Rishon will have a chelik in Olam Haba.
Rishon have a chelik in Olam Haba. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So what does that mean? Meaning, I wonder, I don't know, like.
Not all Rishon, though.
I know,
right?
But the Rishon who do have a chelik in Olam Haba, do they have to do tshuva to get up there, or like do Rishon actually are?
Well, it depends on who you ask, right? So the what do you call the basic camp division is the Rambam holds that all Rishayim have a chelik in Olam Haba unless they're in the, what did we say? How many categories? 24 categories? No, that's 24 Ma'akum Tshuva. Well, let me just show you here.
And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because of this point, because of the Radak, meaning like it can be affected in God's realm if you do those things in God's realm.
I see what you're saying, meaning that if you do these things, and you're,
meaning if you're a Russia,
you're
Olam Haba, and you do these things, that's a problem.
Right. Something's not registering. Hold on, so let me just say what I was going to say here. I'm not going to read through the list, but I just want to show you in the Rambam. This is in Tshuva Gimel. So Beinanim get Olam Haba. All the Rishayim who are defined here as their iniquities are greater than their zechuyos. Danin osam kfi chatosem v'yesh lahem chelek Olam Haba. They're judged according to their sins, and they do have a portion in Olam Haba. Shekol Yisrael yesh lahem chelek Olam Haba. All of Israel has a portion in Olam Haba. Alpha pi shechato, even though they sinned. Shneimar v'amech kulam tzadikim l'olam yushu aretz. Your people are all tzadikim; they will inherit the land. Eretz zo mashal, the land is a mashal in this pasuk. Klomer Eretz Achayim, the land of the living. Olam haba. But then here are the ones who don't have a chelik in Olam haba, and he lists all of the types of heretics and then all of the transgressions, and that is how many? What's the number? Is it 24?
I don't know why, but 24 sounds right.
I said 24, but I thought I was getting it wrong. Does he not say the number? Okay, he doesn't say that. I thought you said the number. Oh yeah, 24.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
24. Yeah,
Okay.
all these 24 don't have a chelik olam haba, but that is if they don't do tshuva. But if they do tshuva, then they get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the other aside from this 24, the Rishon who are no Olam Haba.
Yeah.
Like over here, what the Radak is saying, someone who does these things during his lifetime will merit to have a soul rest. Okay, perhaps. Wait, what did you say? I thought
This is talking about God's realm. Someone who does these things during his lifetime will merit to have a soul rest in that realm after death.
Yeah, I mean, like, why did I think it was also the negative things? Maybe do the negative things.
I don't know.
Probably.
I'm not sure.
That we-
Okay, let's do the Meiri. Okay, yeah, Dina.
Can I say something that I know
Yeah.
isn't Rambam at all?
Yeah.
That I would just know whatever.
Yeah,
Could it possibly be talking about also like when Mashiach comes, that those who did good and who like stayed steady on that path will also see like the Beit HaMikdash like erected?
yeah, that's
on the
definitely possible.
mountain?
Yeah, that's definitely possible going to everybody. Yeah, because the Rambam holds. I mean, that is very much in line with the Rambam. The Rambam holds that only tzaddikim get Chias Mason. So if it's talking about the literal base of Mikdash, then then this could be listing out the criteria. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought it wasn't Rambam. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It is the Rambam. He says it in the Hakam L'Chelek that Chias Mason is only for tzaddikim. Okay, Meiri says, Kvar b'yarnu b'yaldusenu b'chibur haTeshuva. We've already explained in our youth in the Chibur haTeshuva, which I just found out. He always says he wrote it in his youth, and I was just told by my high school Rabbi Paul, that why did he write the Chibur haTeshuva? Because it's a Christian said to him, like I think a Christian said to him, like, you Jews don't hold by tshuva, and he realized like there should be a book about tshuva, so he just like dashed out a book about tshuva, and so that's. But he did it when he was like really young. So whenever he quotes himself, he says, "In my youth, I wrote the Chibur haTeshuva." So yeah, Migerer Bal haTeshuva u'mitana'av liknos la'atmo techunos chadashos. Oh, this is the approach I want to take. I haven't read the commentary. I just read this first thing. He says, one of the definitions of a Baal Tshuva and one of its conditions is liknos la'atmo techunos chadashos v'hasaras midos begunos, is to acquire new dispositions by removing bad, disgusting midos. Af bamesh she'ena aver gemura, even in areas that are not a complete transgression. Uvakinyan kol mida ma'ula, and when you acquire all good midos, af bamesh she'ena mitzvah miyuchedes, even in an area that's not a mitzvah, ubirodifas pu'ulos hachesed lifnim mishur sedin, and when you do actions of chesed that are beyond the letter of the law. And so to a person who wants to perfect himself to the utmost of perfection, you need to cling to these drachim. Okay, and he says, Hashem who can be firm, who can stand securely, who can dwell in his tent, who can dwell in his holy place, who can be in God's realm. Okay, so this is an interesting thing. This is Meiri holds that this is a list of paths to acquiring moral perfection, okay, beyond particular mitzvos and ve'averos, okay, to be able to dwell in Hashem's realm in this world, okay, firmly. Okay, and then he's going to go through and he's going to list how all these are like midos. Okay, and by the way, he gets to one, which I only skimmed this, but he says not taking a interest. So he says, it sounds like it's saying don't take interest, but that's a particular avera, so I have to interpret it differently. And he interprets it as a midah. Okay, all right, let's just look at it. Yeah.
And I assume within that, then there's going to be some like in the short word mitzvah type of thing that's going to be happening here then.
Probably, yeah. I would assume so if these are good midos. Okay, let's just look at the other meforshim and then we'll call it a night. I can do the Gemara after, but I'll end it after we do this. Okay, does anyone else explain these terms? Rashi? No Rashi. Oh wait, Mizmor Zeh Lahodia Midas Chasidus. That's like the Meiri. Rid al kol ha'olam kula amar David Mizmor Zeh. That's interesting. That's a very vague statement. Okay, we did that. Let's really let's take a Ibn Ezra says Hartzion Kodem Shi Yevada Kihu Haramoria Bishkon Haaron Betzion Bebai Shehechin Lo David Kakaz B'Divrei. Okay, fine. Let's just really quickly. I'll bet you money. No, don't bet me money. That the Malbim says something creatively different. Mizmor LaDavid Choshev Hadvarim Asher Yaseh Osam Ha'adam V'chai Behem Lios Min Avdei Hashem Ha'omdim B'chatz Rosav. Okay, so that's like the Meiri, or I mean similarly to the Meiri. Let's look at who else do we have here that we don't have in. We have the Shirim. Amruzal Ba. Oh yeah, okay, that's the Gemara. He's going to quote the Gemara. Don't look. Oh yeah. Thank you. Amar Hagaon. That's the so this is the Sforno student. Achar shalamala zachar tzadik hador amru atzas ani tavishu ki Hashem machasehu amar mihu also hatzadik shiyagur b'halacha. So the previous pasuk talked about, or perek talked about a tzadik, and now it's saying who is this tzadik who dwells in your tent? Ratzon ole tushia, in the tents of tushia, which is Torah, lamata. V'amar lashon gerus ki ha'olam hazeh nifsad. So it's talking about this world is temporary. That's why it's using gerus. And then bahar kachecha b'beis hamikdash shalamala leor bor hakaim. Okay, these are similar approaches. Okay, so I think so. Now we have enough to work with that you can like think about, and this is good because this will give you something if you need to work on during Shavuos. Okay, it's a very short perek. It's in the back of every siddur. You know, you can just think about what are these 11 qualities. Okay, now for bonus, okay, you don't have to stick around. Okay, this is officially the end of this year. I want to show you the Gemara. Okay, we're not going to go into depth in the Gemara. Okay, so again, common misconception is that it's is that there are 613 mitzvahs. Okay, right? In reality, that's machlokas, right? So you have the Rambam and the Ramban who are emphatic that there are exactly 613 mitzvahs, to the point where they go to war about what counts as a mitzvah and what's not. Then you have people like Ibn Ezra who says, yeah, 613, 613, okay? And who like, it's just, there's not really 613. And then in the middle-ish, you have the Ralbag who says, there are not 613 davka. The Rambam's 14 rules for what to count as a mitzvah, he got absolutely right, but he didn't apply them correctly. And if you apply them correctly, you won't get 613, you'll get more than that.
So okay. I love that.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, so closing it so far. Okay, but the whole thing is that really, you tell me when we go through this really quickly, of those three positions, what seems most likely, okay? So there's one source for there being 613 mitzvahs, and it's this one Gemara in Makos. Daf Chaf Gimel Amud Beis. Okay, and I've been wanting to give a shiur on this whole thing for a very long time, but this is going to take a lot of preparation to give a shiur on this. So I'll just give you the facts now. Okay, so it says Darash Ravi Simlai. Ravi Simlai. Oh, they say Shamlai. That's interesting. I always heard it was Ravi Simlai. It says Sheish Me'os u'Shlosh Esrei Mitzvos Nemer LeMoshe. 630 mitzvos were said to Moshe. Shlosh Me'os v'Shishim v'Chamesh Lavim. 365 lotases. That is it says like the number community Mosachama, like the number of solar days in a solar calendar. Umasayim Arba'im Ushmona Asay, and 248 assays Keneged Evarav Shal Adam. That is like the limbs or the parts of the body. Amar Rav Hamnuna Mikra. Rav Hamnuna says, what is the pasuk that's the source? Torah Tivalanu Moshe Marasha. Moshe commanded us the Torah as an inheritance. Torah b'gematria. What is Torah gematria? 611. Trick question, right? So the Gemara says, Shis me'al b'chad shrei havi. That's only 611. Answer, Anochi v'lo yeh lecha mipi hagvur shmanam. That they heard the first two of the Dibros, Anochi Hashem Elokecha and Lo yeh lecha from God. So Torah, meaning 611, Sivalanu Moshe. Moshe commanded us 613. Okay, and then God gave us two, so that's Moshe gave us 611, and then God gave us two, and that's 613 together. Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm sure he has a shiur on this. Okay. But David, the Hamidan al Achas Esrei, David came and reduced them to 11.
What does that mean?
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. So what does it mean? So apparently I think the Gemara, if you look at the Gemara in Makos, it says Rashi on the side. But all Torah says it's Rivan, who's Rashi's son-in-law. So I assume it's one of these cases where it's not actually Rashi. I assume all Torah is more correct than the Gemaras. So all Torah, the Rivan explains the Hamidan al Chas Esrei. Right? I was like, what? There's only 11? Tell me what, yeah.
Well, we already have the the breaking them into 10 also, no? I know, like.
Oh, you're telling me they start as a
said
dibros?
that- Yeah, that you can find within the.
Oh, okay, right, yeah, similar to that, yeah. But no one does that here. So he says, so why? In the beginning, they were tzaddikim. Okay. They could accept the yoke of many mitzvos. But the later generations, they weren't such tzaddikim. If they came to keep all of them, no one would merit, to keep them. David came and reduced them to 11. So they would merit if they fulfilled these 11. And every generation they got fewer. Okay, so here's what the Gemara does. Yeah.
What happens to like the mitzvah to not remove stuff from the Torah?
Yeah. So let's just get this out on the table. Okay. It clearly does not.
Whether it's gonna go back up.
Yeah. It does not mean that they actually like took away mitzvahs. Yeah. Yeah. Compression. Okay. Right. So it means that they he like presented them as 11. This is not like, no, this is like a curricular modification, not a legalistic abridgment. Yeah.
Maybe if you say that, then according to the Rivan, like it sounds like they were too many in number to be able to accept them all. So like reducing the number, like making it more compressed in terms of teaching doesn't make it easier to accept.
Well, we have to explain lakabel ol mitzvos to say what that means. I think it means to be able to like keep them, like to be makabel the mitzvah. Yeah.
Maybe whatever those 11 are, maybe he just means that like these 11 are like the most important ones for man's perfection that can push them towards.
Okay, right. Okay, so
like.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
And we're not going to read through the whole thing, but then the Gemara says dichsiv, and then it quotes the entire perek.
Nice.
Okay, just straight up the entire perek, and then it darshans each one and explains what each phrase means. Now, most of them are very unclear. Yeah.
Just also, this does seem to be arguing with say the Miri or those other ones that we're learning. This is like some like midat chasidut type of thing.
Correct. Yeah, this is definitely not midat chasidut. This is more basic. Yeah. So, but check this out. Holech tamim ze Abraham. Why? Dichsiv he's halach lefanai v'hi tamim. So commandment number 1, guys. 613 mitzvahs is too overwhelming. So let me make it simple for you. Be Abraham. Okay, that's like mitzvah number 1. Okay. Pol tzedek kagon Abba Chilkiyahu. You know Abba Chilkiyahu, don't you? No. All right. So and then lo ragal shono ze Yaakov Avinu lo asal rehu ra. Okay. So some of them are particular. Lo asal rehu ra shlo yar le'umunus chavero. Don't create like a competition for your friend, like taking away from his business. Okay. So it goes through all of these. You can look through them. Okay, then we get the next stage. Okay. Amru. Oh, sorry. It's even easier. Sorry. Ose ela lo yimo lolam. One who does these will not falter forever. Kishai Rama Gamliel Magila Mikrazeh. When Rama Gamliel got to this pasuk, Hayabochi, he started crying. Okay, why? Amr, he said, Manda Abi Lukulhu. Hudlo yimot. How do we know who yimot? He says, you mean you have to do all 11 to not falter? But he says, but what if you only do 1? So then they bring a proof that no, you only need to do 1. Okay, it's just a very, very wacky Gemara. Okay, so then Ba Yeshayahu Hamidin al Sheish. Yeshayahu came and reduced them to 6. Okay, because that's the natural thing. You go from 11 to 6.
11
okay,
to 1 and then 6.
No, 11. Oh no, these are the 11, but you only have to do 1 to not falter. Yeah. Okay, you still have to do all of them. But the Yeshayahu came in and reduced them to 6. Diksiv holech tzedakos v'dover meisharim mois bebetza ma'ashakos noer kapav mitmoch v'shochad otim ozno mishmo damim v'otim inav miros bara. So one who goes with uprightness and speaks upright things. Sorry, goes with righteousness and speaks upright things. Who is disgusted by the profit from monetary crimes? Noer kapav mitmoch v'shochad. He shakes his hands free of bribes. Yeah, that one's very similar. Otem ozam mishmo damim, he closes his ears to hearing blood, and otem inav miros mera, and he covers his eyes from seeing evil. So it goes through the darshans. Then this is Abraham. Okay, right? It goes. The last one is you don't look at women when they're doing laundry because they're standing in the river and like you can see their legs. Okay, fine. So you go through all those. Then ba micha v'hamidan al shalosh. Micha came and introduced him to 3. And this is perhaps one of the most famous ones. He get matov. Tell man what is good for him. What does God seek from him? Kim asos mishpat. You do justice. Ahavas chesed. Love chesed. Hatzneah lachazim elotacha. And walk humbly with your God. Okay, that's the 3. Okay, then darshans those. Chazar Yeshayahu was like, oh yeah, comes back and he reduces them to 2. Okay, Shnemar, Komar Hashem, Shimur Mishpat V'asut Tzedakah. Keep justice and do tzedakah. Now then the Gemara asks,
Amos.
Yeah, Amos came and he reduced them to 1. Shnemar, Komar Hashem, Leves Yisrael, Dushuni Vichyu, seek me and live.
I love Amos.
Okay,
My man.
the Gemara doesn't love Amos, and it asks a funny question. Maskif la Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, Ema Dushuni B'chol Torah Kula? Maybe the only way to seek God is you keep the whole Torah, and Amos is like, oh, shucks. Okay.
Isaiah, we're totally doing this.
Right, yeah, right. So suspend your disbelief for 1 second. The tzaddik be'emunaso yichyeh. A tzaddik lives by his conviction. Okay, and they don't ask, maybe you can only do that through the whole Kol Torah Kula? Okay, right? Yeah. So I would love to do this Gemara. Okay, but again, it's gonna take a lot of work because we have to go through the whole thing. That would be like a multi-part series. But let me ask you now, okay, if I told you that there are exactly 613 mitzvos,
I would say yes.
in light of this Gemara,
I would say yes.
you would say yes.
I would say yes.
Yeah?
Well, maybe because all these other things seem like they're distillations,
Okay, right?
but it sounds like the 613 wasn't necessarily a distillation.
Okay, you could say that.
Yeah.
I say the opposite. I say the fact that the Gemara goes and says that like this number apparently is very, very contingent on how the Torah is presented. Like, Moshe presented it as 611 plus 2, and then it seems like the number 613 is not so rigid, And again, you have to realize, if you want to read in what's his name, the guy I really like who writes the books, Maimonides.
Rabbi Sachs.
Okay, that's a good guess. No, what's Maimonides and Nachmanides book? Why am I forgetting? Halbertal, thank you. Very good. Yeah, Moshe Halbertal, right? In Moshe Halbertal's book, in his Maimonides book and his Nachmanides book, he basically shows how like this whole literature of minyan hamitzvos and trying to count what is mitzvah and what is not really was like generated by the Rambam and the Ramban. Like people were not so makpid on, they were makpid on deraisa and derabanan, but look, there are many deraisas within any given one of Taryag, but like they were very makpid on that. It really, the only reason it's so prominent in our minds is because of them, this really just seems like it's, and this is not a halachic Gemara. This is a Gadata, Yeah, Isaiah. Ariel. We quoted Isaiah so many times that just everyone is Isaiah now. Yeah.
So look, I haven't done this Gemara.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So obviously, the reason why I think there's 613 mitzvahs is because like it dramatically dropped from 613 to like 11,
Yeah.
and then like less than that. Like we know there are like 10, asserts difference, and they're 10 right there. So like if it's like 500, 400, 300.
Yeah.
Be more technical than fine, but like I think 11
Yeah.
and lower is kind of just like highlighting the core elements of perfection in some way. Like to get to the
yeah.
613.
I hear what you're saying.
Technical.
Yeah,
There's-
I'll give you an argument that just came to me from when you said that is if you take this, as literal, right? So it's weird. It ends up that Bnei Noach have more mitzvahs than we do,
Yeah,
right? Okay,
it's-
but so then that remind me. I'm pretty sure the Gemara in Sanhedrin goes through and it does try to figure out. Like it asks a question and says, like, let's say like it says there's 7 mitzvahs Bnei Noach, and then it says, well, it's also for a goy to learn Torah, and it says, oh, so you're gonna say that that's an 8th mitzvah? Like it actually treats the number 7 as like a rigid thing, But it is interesting that the Gemara itself doesn't treat Taryag like that, There's never a Gemara that says, oh, that's too many mitzvahs, So it's something to think about, something maybe for the future. This would make a great, if I ever have to give a like multi-hour Shavuos shiur, like Shavuos learning, this would be a great thing to work on, right? But here again, this is something you can just think about. Sadik be'emunaso yichya. How does that summarize Kol Torah Kula? Yeah. Okay. So I don't think we're going to do this next time, but we will or go back to the perek in 2 weeks from now, and then see what we come up with. Okay. Fun perek though.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really fun,
Yeah. Okay.
This Gemara is fantastic.
The Gemara is fantastic
It's
though.
really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.